You are watching KAVU 25 News Now weekends at 5:30.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Trenton Whiting. The city of Sept announced a boil water notice earlier today. Harmful bacteria has been found in the city water supply, a problem that creates a big risk for those with weakened immune systems. Officials say that all water in the city should be boiled and cooled before consumption. Things like cooking, drinking, self-washing, and brushing teeth are examples of unsafe water use during the notice. Questions can be directed to the Public Works Director, Robert Bryant, at 361-489-9544. The NFL season began today, an exciting day for football fans and players. However, Miami Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill began the day detained by police. The Dolphins say in a statement that Hill was briefly detained by police and has since been released. Videos posted to social media appear to show Hill on the ground in handcuffs with multiple officers around him. In a brief statement, Miami-Dade Police Director Stephanie Daniels said she has requested an immediate review of all details surrounding the incident. Daniels also said they are reviewing available body camera footage. Now, it's time for us to talk weather here in this Sunday afternoon, so we're going to check in with Storm Team meteorologist Trey Meinig to see what the rest of the week is going to look like. Trey?
Well, it's absolutely beautiful today. Look at the nice sunny skies out there. I hope you enjoy the weekend with a cool feel. 87 degrees currently in the Victoria area, with feel-like temperature 87, pretty much on target with that. Humidity still low, 43%, but that'll be changing in a pretty big way. And the temperatures will be, well, once again, rebounding back up to the 90s or so for the feel-like temperature coming up for your day tomorrow, especially by the middle part of the week. But the big story is not the temperatures, it's Tropical Depression 6 in the Gulf of Mexico. It's gaining strength. Where is it going? How will it impact us? We'll find out a little bit later on. Trenton?
Thank you, Trey. Well, heat-related deaths in the U.S. have been steadily increasing for years. A new study in the medical journal JAMA shows a 117% spike from 1999 to 2023. More than 21,000 people died during that period, with a disproportionate number of deaths recorded in California, Arizona, Nevada, and here in Texas. Using data from the CDC, researchers found the annual number of deaths varied from year to year before 2016. But since 2016, deaths have increased by nearly 17% each year. According to the World Meteorological Organization, extreme heat is the #1 weather-related killer in the U.S. And that's going to bring us straight to tonight's viewer poll. Are you concerned with the rise of heat deaths in recent years? Yes or no? Looks like 35% say yes, 65% say no. And here in Texas, we know all about the heat. We thank you for voting and hope that you continue to participate. Go to crossroadtoday.com/vote to keep the poll going. Moving on, the mother of a suspected shooter accused of killing 4 people at a high school in Georgia reportedly called the school counselor with a warning before the attack. Reports say Marcy Gray called the school at 9:50 on the morning of last Wednesday's attack. She described an extreme emergency involving her 14-year-old son, Colt. 20 minutes later, the teen allegedly opened fire inside Appalachia High School outside of Atlanta. Gray's sister, Annie Brown, confirmed the call to the school. Brown shares a phone plan with her sister, and she viewed a log of the calls made that day. 2 teachers and 2 students were killed. 9 other people suffered injuries during the shooting. Gray and his father, Colin Gray, are both facing murder charges related to the shooting. Both appeared in a Georgia courtroom on Friday. It is also still unclear when classes will resume for Appalachia High. The principal sent a letter to parents and students on Sunday. She said school leaders are trying to determine the next steps for students and staff. Students will be allowed to retrieve their belongings on Monday afternoon, but the school is trying to figure out the best way forward. A manhunt is ongoing for a suspect who authorities say shot into 9 cars on an interstate south of Lexington, Kentucky on Saturday. 5 people were seriously injured and a major interstate was closed for hours. Residents in the rural community of London, Kentucky are urged to stay indoors as police search for the suspect.
Police in Kentucky are searching for a suspect they say shot into 9 cars on Interstate 75 south of Lexington on Saturday. 5 people were seriously injured, but the Laurel County Sheriff's Department said all victims are in stable condition.
All of a sudden, we just heard this deafening loud sound, and it sounded like a rock went through my back window, and our ears were ringing, and we just looked at each other, and we were like, was that a gunshot?
The shooting occurred Saturday afternoon near London, Kentucky, a rural town south of Lexington. I-75 was shut down for hours, and a manhunt is underway for the suspected shooter. Police say this man, 32-year-old Joseph A. Couch, is the main suspect and urge the community to remain vigilant.
We're asking people too, if you think you hear something outside of your home, please do not go outside shooting. Our officers could be in that area.
The search, coordinated by the sheriff's office, resumed Sunday morning with the help of multiple law enforcement agencies, including a drone with infrared heat sensing technology. Officials say they know the general area of Couch's location, but the terrain is rugged with lots of trees.
It's a large area. We're just going to have to start from where we have anticipated that he possibly was, and we are looking for spent rounds.
It's unclear what the motive is for the shooting, and authorities say Couch is considered armed and dangerous. I'm Rob Kirkpatrick reporting.
Now overseas to Israel, where tens of thousands of people once again filled the streets to demand a deal to free Israeli hostages in Gaza. And the family of an American woman killed in the West Bank is demanding an investigation.
Overnight, a sea of people flooding the streets in Tel Aviv. Demonstrators demanding the Israeli government accept a ceasefire and hostage release deal to secure the return of more than 100 hostages still in captivity in Gaza.
We cannot sacrifice life. We cannot sacrifice them. Life is sacred.
The scenes, evidence of the mounting pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept a deal, but strong differences remain. The U.S., Qatar, and Egypt working to facilitate a deal, but this morning a breakthrough still seems elusive, nearly a year into the war. This all comes as the Israeli army withdrew its heavy armor from cities in the occupied West Bank after the largest incursion in 2 decades, leaving at least 40 dead. We went to the West Bank town of Tulkarem and saw heavily damaged roads, homes, and businesses. And just days ago, American-Turkish activist Ashanur Egi was shot and killed by the IDF while she, peace activists, and locals protested the expansion of settlements. The IDF claiming their forces were under threat, saying they fired, quote, toward an instigator of violent activity who'd been throwing rocks at their forces. Despite the IDF claims, Jonathan Pollock said there was no reason for Egi's death, claiming that the University of Washington graduate was targeted.
There was nothing happening at the time. It was completely quiet. He took that kill shot, and it was a kill shot.
The IDF says the circumstances of her death are under review.
Many people may not know his name, but Walt Emmer headed one of the biggest restaurant chains around the country and devoted his life to improving the lives of others in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Emmer, the president and CEO of Waffle House, has died after a long illness. He served as CEO since 2012 and was affiliated with Waffle House for more than 30 years. Emmer also served on the Atlanta Police Foundation's Board of Trustees. The foundation called him a tireless advocate for public safety and a dedicated leader. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens said Emmer leaves behind a remarkable legacy. Emmer was 58 years old. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 5:30, CNN polls show that the race between presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is a tight one.
And after several weeks of pretty much quiet activity in the tropics that begin to heat up, we have Tropical Depression 6 in the Gulf of Mexico, south of Texas. Where's it headed? We'll take a look coming up.
Turning now to politics, we are a little more than 2 days until the presidential debate between former President Trump and Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris is in a debate. President Trump has no events on his schedule currently, but on Saturday he held a rally in Wisconsin. The vice president was in Pittsburgh.
Ahead of Tuesday's presidential debate, former President Trump rallying supporters in the battleground state of Wisconsin.
If I destroy her in the debate, they'll say, Trump suffered a humiliating defeat tonight.
And touting his latest endorsement from the Fraternal Order of Police.
We just got the endorsement of the biggest police group in the country, and 380,000 police.
On Friday, Vice President Harris was endorsed by former Republican Vice President Dick Cheney. His daughter, former Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney, one of the leaders of the January 6th committee, also endorsed her. Harris, who visited a small business on Saturday, is in debate prep and says she's ready to take on Donald Trump.
Look, it's time to turn the page on the divisiveness. It's time to bring our country together, chart a new way forward.
Her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, spoke at the Human Rights Campaign's annual national dinner.
Because what we know is this: politics is not an end, it's a means to an end. If we want that hope to become reality, we've got to do the work to make it happen.
Tuesday's debate will last 90 minutes, and microphones will only be live for the candidate whose turn it is to speak. There will be no audience, and neither candidate will be allowed to ask each other questions. Former President Trump won a virtual coin toss and has chosen to offer the last closing statement. Vice President Harris has selected to be at the podium to the right on screen. Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
Continuing with the presidential race, it is a tight one between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump ahead of Tuesday's big debate. A new CNN poll of polls has Harris with an average of 49% support, while Trump has 47%. The number was taken across polls conducted between August 23rd and September 6th. The new average is largely unchanged from the previous average, which found Harris at 50% to Trump's 48%, conducted between August 1st and 16th. Venezuela's opposition leader, who ran against President Nicolas Maduro in July's contested election, has left the country to seek asylum in Spain. According to Venezuela's vice president, the government allowed to leave him, quote, for the sake of tranquility and political peace of the country. Many experts say Edmundo Gonzalez had won the country's presidential election in July, beating longtime leader Nicolas Maduro. Maduro's refusal to acknowledge the results sparked months of protests and unrest. A mail theft ring in Massachusetts has led to significant financial losses despite 9 arrests by police.
Suspects in a mail theft ring repeatedly pulled their vehicles up to mailboxes in Wellesley and in Weston, emptying out what was inside and eventually changing checks that they cashed for thousands of dollars. But despite the arrests of 9 people announced by the U.S. Attorney's Office last week, the problem persists.
It is unfortunately a fairly frequent occurrence here in surrounding communities.
Wellesley Police Lieutenant Marie Cleary says thieves have gotten their hands on the keys used to open blue mailboxes. They spend seconds collecting what's inside, including personal checks.
They are chemically washed, the payee is changed, and generally the amount of money is changed. And sometimes those checks are duplicated.
If you do use a blue mailbox, make sure you pay special attention to the pickup times posted on the box.
Make sure that you're not putting mail in the mailbox after that final collection time of the day.
Investigators find many of the thefts happen overnight, Sunday into Monday.
Mail has collected over the entire weekend.
The advice from police: avoid mailing a check in one of these or even your own mailbox.
We would again encourage against doing that, as oftentimes the letter carriers will place that mail in the closest blue mailbox in the neighborhood. People can lose thousands and thousands of dollars when one of their checks is stolen from a mailbox.
For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com. And don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Astrain will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise. You can submit a local military hero so we can recognize them.
Things are heating up in the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical Depression 6 on its way to becoming a tropical storm. There's the latest information right there if you're tracking it on your tracking chart. Down the southern Gulf, head to the north. Will it impact our weather? Yes, it will. We'll give you the details coming up after the break. Well, I hope you enjoyed the weekend because there was beautiful sunny skies, low humidity feel. And so we're gradually getting away from that into a more of a interesting weather pattern, we'll just call it that. And there's the latest on Tropical Depression 6 in the Gulf of Mexico, south of Texas. There's Yucatan, here's the Bay of Campeche. Victoria is way up here. And there's the coordinates if you're tracking on your chart, 50-mile-per-hour winds, 30-mile-per-hour winds, I'm sorry. And it'll continue to build strength as it continue to move on toward the north. And follow this model run right here. This is the official Hurricane Center path with the rainfall superimposed on top of it. Moving to the north by Monday should be a tropical storm in the early morning hours for your Monday. Getting near the Rio Grande Valley, kind of skirting the coast of the Rio Grande Valley, coming up for your day on Tuesday. As you see, the model runs continue to work to the north, becoming better organized. And it looks like it'll be, once again, tropical storm strength off the coast of the Texas coming up for the majority of the week. And then also, this is another model run here. We're taking it to the north. Precipitation moves in on Monday night into our region here and skirts the coast most of the time period for Tuesday into Wednesday as the storm begins to pass offshore. Notice by the time we get to Wednesday, just off our coast, almost a Category 1 hurricane, according to the Weather's Hurricane Center model here. Probably making landfall somewhere near Beaumont, Port Arthur, or Lake Charles once again. Coming up by your day on Wednesday as a Cat 1 hurricane, more than likely, according to this weather model right here. The water is very warm out here, so the conditions are right for it to get better developed as we go through time. Of course, as it skirts offshore, most of the rainfall will be in the offshore waters. But the closer to the coast you get coming up for Tuesday and Wednesday, the better the rain chances will be, and the winds as well. If you're inland, it won't be much of an impact north of Victoria, especially along the coast. We'll keep those rain chances in for Tuesday and Wednesday as the storm begins to track just off our coastline here, make its way toward the north. So if you're headed toward the coast in the middle part of the week, you may want to rethink that. Future tracker, we'll keep it dry for the most part of the overnight tonight into your day tomorrow. See some of the precipitation around the center begin to show up on the future tracker screen. Coming up for your day on Monday, more than likely remaining offshore. Beginning to rotate in, coming up by Tuesday and Wednesday as the storm passes just to our south in the Gulf of Mexico. So rain chances on the rise coming up in the middle part of the week. Aquarial. Starting off tomorrow, mostly dry, I think, for your day tomorrow. Sunday to partly cloudy skies. High temperatures will more than likely be in the 90s once again with more sunshine. Port Lavaca, starting off in the 80s, well, 73 degrees by 9 a.m., 80s by the afternoon time with scattered rain showers and storms. The closer you get to the coast, the better the rain chances will be. Victoria, cloudy to partly cloudy skies throughout the day tomorrow, with rain chances likely in the afternoon, kind of hit and miss. Not great rain chances tomorrow, but there'll be some, and really increasing. We put alert days for Tuesday and Wednesday because of the Francine, more than likely will be at that time, skirting off our coastline. Probably the best effects will be right along the coastal zones, Calhoun County especially. And then rain chances continue the rest of the week, beginning to reduce somewhat by the end of the week, with highs in the 80s back up to near 90 degrees by the end of the week, lows in the 70s. Watch weather developments. We'll keep you informed as we go throughout the next several days. Check this out right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code you see right there. They'll take you to a web page. You can download our app, News, Weather, and Sports at your fingertips. Very easy, convenient, and it's free of charge to do so. Ray with sports.
Thank you, Trey. The NFL is kicking off their season today. Which teams we're talking about and more in sports. Just shortly before the NFL kicked off their 2024 to 2025 season, the Dallas Cowboys announced the contract extension of QB Dak Prescott. This is a 5-year, $240 million contract, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. The Cowboys, with their newly signed QB, beginning their 2024-2025 season campaign, taking on Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. The Cowboys are on the road team at Huntington Bankfield Stadium. Dak Prescott opening up the first quarter with 92 yards and throwing for a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, another newly signed Cowboy, seemed to be off to a great start as well, wrapping up the first quarter with 58 receiving yards. The Cowboys are up. Current score as of now is 27-10, excuse me. This NFL kickoff featured the other Texas team, the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud on the Texans and battling Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Richardson and Stroud both throwing for 200-plus yards and throwing for 2 touchdowns apiece. Richardson throwing for 1 interception. Texas' recent acquisition in Joe Mixon led the game with 159 yards rushing and 30 carries. Mixon also having a touchdown of his own. The Texans win it. Final score, 29-27. And I'm sure you probably saw it yesterday, but let's talk about it. The Texas Longhorns taking on current national football champions in Michigan. Texas having one of the most tough schedules in all of college football, but they don't seem to be too worried. Walking into Michigan Stadium and dominating the Wolverines, Quinn Ewers leading in passing with 246 yards. Gunnar Helm led with 98 receiving yards. Texas Longhorns win it. Final score, 31-12. And in some local non-football news, the Industrial Volleyball team took on Victoria East on Friday afternoon. Talk about setting the bar high on Friday. The Industrial Cobras being one of the most dominant teams in the Crossroads. East putting up a great battle in the opening series, losing by 2 points. East still managed to put up a great fight in the second game, losing by 3. The third series is where the Cobras ran away with the final score being 10-25. Industrial proving to be the better team, sweeping the Titans 3-0. Wrapping things up with some MLB talk, starting off with the Texas Rangers, ending their series today with the Los Angeles Angels. The Rangers seem to be going on all cylinders at Globe Life Field. 3 Rangers having 3 home runs in Marcus Semien, Nathaniel Lowe, and Ezekiel Duran. Final score, 7-4. The Astros will be in action here shortly, hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks in the 3rd final game of their series. Left fielder Marquio Dubon will take the field tonight following a thumb injury. Astros dominated the Diamondbacks yesterday. This looks to be a sweep. That's it for your sports. Trenton?
Thank you, Ray. Stay with us. Coming up, the season has just begun in the NFL, but we already know who'll be headlining this year's big game. We want to invite you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. The NFL regular season began today, but we're already looking forward to the last game of the season. The Super Bowl halftime will be headlined by Compton rapper and Pulitzer Award winner Kendrick Lamar. The big game is on February 9th. Lamar has had a big summer, releasing one of the biggest songs of his career with Not Like Us near the end of his highly publicized beef with Toronto rapper Drake. Lamar was also featured in last year's Super Bowl. So I'm very, very excited to see Kendrick in this
to be
Super
interesting,
Bowl.
yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially after everything that went on this summer with the beef, I'm pretty hyped. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like it's like the next step in the beef, you know? Yeah.
It's more like a victory lap. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. But y'all catch any NFL games today? I'm excited for tonight for sure.
Yeah, I talked about the Texans. I think you was watching it. We was watching in the newsroom, so that was a fun game.
I'll always be watching my Texans. I can guarantee you that.
Absolutely.
Have to do that. I mean,
oh yeah, exactly. And
part of hometown.
All right. Well, so let's see what it's gonna be like for weather tonight.
Yes.
For these games.
For the night, we're quiet. Rest of the night, don't worry about that. But we're watching the storm in the Gulf of Mexico, Tropical Depression 6, which more than likely will become Francine by tomorrow morning, headed our way coming up. Looks like it'll skirt the coastline, but giving us close enough winds and rain, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday of alert days. Both those days will be weather aware. We'll keep you informed. It's passing through the east of us, coming up by late in the day Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, some scattered rain showers and storms kind of hit and miss in the daytime heat, with highs back in the 90s coming up for the end of the week. So watch weather developments. We'll keep you informed. In the meantime, stay cool as best you can.
And we will do. And it looks like we're going to have some rainy games for Friday. But we want to thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. And thank you for supporting us. Have a great rest of your week.